Welcome back to the Wise Up podcast, your weekly dose of business wisdom, as brought to you by the members of Open Water. And today we are going to be talking about conflict resolution. And I am thrilled today to have a very special guest. It is Dr. Angela Nelson, a certified coach specializing in conflict resolution. Angela uses this tool called conflict dynamics profile to help clients navigate. And we're going to get into it, right? So what's not going to happen? We're not going to have a conflict right now. I'm going to welcome Angela to the show. Welcome.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris. It's great to be here.
All right, let's start a little bit. And conflict is, all around us. It's something a lot of people like to avoid. But can you start by telling us a little bit about your background and how you got into coaching and particularly like focusing on conflict resolution?
Oh, absolutely. I have a background in law. I'm an attorney, and I also have a doctorate in public health where I focus on institutional evaluation of graduate medical education. And while working in academia at Columbia University, I was asked to launch an office of professionalism in the learning environment. And I noticed that conflict was one of the most challenging aspects, not only for the individuals, but also for the team as a whole to handle. And over time, became fascinated by the dynamics of conflict and how different people react to it. So this led me to pursue conflict resolution training as a mediator and coaching certification. And then eventually I focused more specifically on conflict dynamics profile, which is an amazing tool for understanding how conflict behaviors and improving how we manage them and prevent conflict can significantly improve our relationships, professional and personal.
Okay, I am super conflict averse, so I am very interested in learning more about this. I will avoid conflict at all costs, but I have never heard of conflict dynamics profile. What is it, and what is it, and how does it work?
So the CDP, as we refer to it, is an assessment tool that helps people identify how they respond to conflict in various situations. And we look at a few areas, primarily constructive and destructive behaviors. And constructive behaviors are ways we approach conflict positively, like finding solutions, perspective taking, and collaborating with the other person. But on the other hand, destructive behaviors, those are things like avoidance, getting angry in the moment, blaming the other person. These tend to escalate the conflict or leave it unresolved. And we also look at active and passive behaviors, as well as hot buttons that trigger people in the moment. And what's great about the CDP is that it provides individuals with a picture of their typical reactions during a conflict and what their typical triggers are. And this allows a person to see where they excel in handling conflict and where they may need to make adjustments to improve the interactions with others, and even prompt different responses from the other person.
Okay, so it sounds like I've definitely got more destructive behaviors since I like to avoid it. So is this so it's an assessment tool. So is this something that I fill out? Is it like give me a sense of just what this profile test is? It like 50 questions, multiple choice? Is there an essay? Will I be graded? All of those things.
It's an online questionnaire, and it will ask you to rank your reactions to certain situations in the hypothetical. And we recommend people take it when they're not actively in the middle of a conflict, because that will skew their answers. We want them kind of in a neutral mindset when they take it online, so that it will identify their typical behaviors, not maybe what's happening in that day or that moment. And it takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And then after they take that assessment, I get a report, and it's confidential. I walk my clients through the results, which highlights their specific behaviors. And we explore where they're naturally strong and then focus on areas where destructive behaviors might be holding them back. So like you said, somebody who scores high on avoidance, some people may tend to withdraw when a conflict arises. So in coaching, we would work on building skills to improve how they approach it in a more active, proactive manner. Maybe learning to express their concerns in a calm, solution-focused way. I also help clients set specific goals based on the CDP results, and we create actionable concrete strategies to improve their conflict management skills. It's often incredibly empowering because they start to see conflict as something that they can manage and grow from rather than something to fear and avoid.
Okay. So, what kinds of clients do you usually work with when it comes to conflict resolution coaching? Are they usually like individuals or do you work with teams? It seems like you would need more than one. Like, I guess I can see that I can see both. So, how do you typically go about this?
You're absolutely right. I work with both. On an individual level, I coach people who may be struggling with conflict in their personal lives, at work, or in a leadership role. They might be dealing with interpersonal tensions or finding it difficult to communicate their needs effectively. And the CDP helps them gain clarity on their behavior and opens up new ways of approaching it. For teams, I use the CDP in a slightly different way. In a group setting, conflict can be much more complex because you're dealing with multiple personalities and dynamics. I can run a workshop where team members all take the same assessment, and then we have sessions on how they can each improve their collective approach to the conflict. They can build trust and create a more open, communicative environment. And the insights from the CDP often foster better understanding among the team members, not only about themselves, but about their coworkers, and take some of the conflict and behaviors less personally. And it can lead to improved collaboration and performance on the team.
I hear training on conflict resolution and I'm just like, ooh, that must be draining. Especially like if you're in a team, especially if you're in a team where you might be in active conflict with that person in the in the room. So can you share some examples of how you've used this CDP to kind of help resolve, like navigate through that? Because I can imagine it can be sort of fraught.
Right, absolutely. I have worked with a leadership team that was struggling with internal tension and unproductive meetings. Through the CDP, we identified that some team members were reacting to conflict by becoming overly competitive or defensive, while others were withdrawing and not contributing at all. And this imbalance was creating a lot of frustration and resentment. And once the team understood their own behaviors and how it was impacting their work, we developed strategies to help everyone engage more constructively. So we practiced active listening techniques and worked on encouraging quieter members to speak up. And over time, the group benefited from more participation of the entire group rather than just the more vocal individuals. And on a side note, I also utilize conflict resolution skills as a real estate closing attorney to manage disputes and improve negotiations and create smoother transactions. And this leads to more successful closings and satisfied clients. Many residential estate closings, as you can imagine, have an emotional component. And I'm navigating not only the complex negotiation, but also managing those emotions from the clients. Sales or purchases can be happening after a wedding or a divorce, a job promotion or a job relocation, the death of a loved one or downsizing for retirement. And when issues like title defects or loan delays arise, I can handle these sensitive discussions professionally and keep all the parties calm, hopefully, and focused on resolving the matter.
Yeah, I talked with a real estate attorney once who said that like after divorce attorneys, like real estate is the most I don't want, I mean, volatile is sort of a strong word, but it becomes the most like triggering kind of lawsuit you can get into.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I would agree with that.
Um, so, all right. So that's those are good examples, about how being self-aware and targeted your coaching can be. So if someone listening right now is dealing with conflict, either in their workplace or personal life, what's like a piece of advice you would give them to get started sort of on improving their conflict resolution skills? So let's take me, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm an avoider. I avoid it altogether, right? So should I take the CDP or what should I do? What's the first step I can take like right now if I'm a listener?
I definitely recommend taking the CDP, but the first step is you're already there. It's awareness, self-awareness about your behavior. So you're already at the first step. It's paying attention to your natural responses to a conflict, whether you tend to avoid it, Other people become aggressive or get defensive. And once you're aware of how you are reacting and what your triggers are, you can start to make changes. And my advice is embrace conflict as an opportunity for growth instead of seeing it as something negative. Try to approach it with curiosity and ask yourself, what can I learn from the situation? Or how can I resolve this in a way that strengthens my relationship rather than hurts it? And tools like the CDP can help with that self discovery. If someone's feeling stuck, working with a coach to guide them through that process can make a big difference.
All right. So if someone listening wants to work with you, how can they get in touch? Like they're like, ooh, I got conflict. I want to be able to resolve it better. And they want to learn more about your resolution, your conflict resolution coaching, or about the CDP, or or just in need of a real estate attorney.
Right,
What's the
absolutely.
what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email is my initials, ADN, Apple David Nancy, ADN 2006 at caa.columbia.edu. And like you said, I offer coaching sessions with individuals and teams, and happy to utilize the principles handling a real estate transaction.
All right. Well, I am already feeling better and less conflicted about
Great.
myself and my own position. And while I'm not looking forward to my next conflict, I know that I can look these up and have some tools to do better in the future. Angela, thank you so much for sharing your insights on conflict resolution and introducing us to the conflict dynamics profile. It's been a great conversation. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Chris. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.